Maui. So this is from Michelle, who's from Nashville, and Joseph, and they're asking, hey, how do you afford paying? Number one, how do you afford it? How to afford it in Hawaii? But I think the real interesting question is, how do you avoid paying inflated housing prices? So my quick snarky answer is, well, don't buy it. That's how you avoid paying inflated prices. If you're going to buy it, you're going to end up paying whatever the price that the market is going. So when someone comes in and they're like shell shocked as far as the prices and the price range going on, and it's too expensive, how do they afford it? Dylan, how do you respond to that?
That's all a matter of perspective, right? The way you avoid paying an inflated price is not waiting until the interest rates go up and prices continue to appreciate. So you may feel like you're paying too much now, but if you wait a year and interest rates go up 1% and price appreciation continues 10+%, you're going to be paying significantly more and have less borrowing power and paying more per month for the same house because the interest rate went higher. So I would say not waiting is the way that you avoid it.
Never thought about that. Not waiting. Scott, how do you respond to that? If people say, "Look, I can't afford it. How do I avoid paying this inflated price if they believe it's inflated?" What's your response?
Yeah, I mean, it is perspective. If you're coming from an area where you can get half-acre parcel with a brand new home at 3,000 square feet for 300,000, you're obviously going to get a little bit shell shocked. Part of that is working with someone like us where we're very good about being able to educate the client, being able to educate you on the market and what to expect, because there's an adjustment period. You have to get used to it and you have to understand what's here. It's as far as affordability, it is what it is. You're either going to qualify or not. You either have the income or you don't. We can go through that process and kind of see what you do qualify for. And then if there are issues, then part of the question is, are there certain things that you can sacrifice on? Do you need to adjust what your needs are or your wants are to, how important is home ownership for you at that point?
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Heidi, how do you respond to that when someone says, hey, this is a crazy price. How am I going to, how can I avoid not having to pay this price, or how can I afford these crazy prices in Maui? What's your response?
Well, I mean, keep in mind the asset that you own in Maui. When you sell it, you're selling it in Maui. So it's really important to just look at the market that you're buying in and get a good value in that market in that moment. You cannot compare it to other markets while you're looking. And then as far as, how do you afford it? Real estate's expensive. It's always been expensive. You just have to decide if it's something that you want to own and jump in. The good thing about real estate is you can live in it.
I think the thing too is you touch on a simple point, and it's overlooked because it's so obvious, but I think it means a lot, which is, well, number one, you live in it, which is you're where you are, but it's also if you're able to hold on to the price, if you haven't overbought where you're in a bad financial situation, if you can afford it, it's, especially in Hawaii, there's a good chance that, if you can hold on to it for a few years, you're going to be able to sell it for more than you bought it for. Now, whether that's 1 year, you'll be able to sell, 1 year, or whether it's 5 years, you're going to be able to sell for more than you bought it for. So it is, one of the best terms I've ever heard is like, it's a forced savings account, right? It's a forced savings account. And if you can get that part, you can get over it. But
and here's some just real world perspective, right? I sold my house, a year ago, a little more than a year ago, and when we sold it for $450, I thought, man, this is crazy that somebody's gonna buy this old house in this neighborhood. They paid over what we were asking for it, and it sold. And then today, there's like houses right next to it selling for $600, right? So that person that bought that house is feeling like a genius today. In my professional opinion, I felt like that was kind of like expensive at the time, and less than 18 months later, they've probably made $100,000+ in equity in that house. So at that time, it may have felt like a lot, but now you feel like a genius. So, it all depends on where you are in your timeline.
And it all depends on the conditions. No one would have, I don't think, I remember, when COVID first struck, right? And like the asteroid hit the planet, right? We were like, man, what what is going to happen? We kind of didn't know until there was a little bit of a, a trend line started. But really, there were a lot of people I'm sure there were a lot of people who lost a lot of money betting against what was going to happen. I'm sure there's a lot of people who thought that the market was going to crash, and it did the exact opposite. And I don't know, it would be fun to know if who accurately predicted that there was going to be such an increase in I'd love to know if anyone accurately predicted what was going to happen in Hawaii's real estate market. I think everyone was thinking crash, maybe because we're still sore from the 2008 asteroid, but everybody thought it was going to crash, and it did not. So you never know, right? You never know, Dylan, right?
The happiest people are the ones that bought in 2020. Anybody
boy,
I
you're
talk
not
to that
kidding,
bought a
right?
house in 2020 thinks they're a genius. So
you are not kidding. Absolutely, right? It's those are great moments if